Hi everybody, Thelman Mehta here, back for another round of going through a bunch of stories on my fanfiction.net favorites list. For those of you that don't know, what I'm doing is going on my account on fanfiction.net, sorting the stories by list of publication date, and rereading them from oldest to newest, and deciding whether they should stay on my list or not. With this video, we are now finally at the point where these stories are being published after I officially made my fanfiction.net account. So with these 9 stories, let's just get right into it. And the first one is It's Not a Rabbit Hat by Ebon, a Harry Potter mostly collection of plot bunnies. We've had a bunch of these before on this list, but again, this is basically not really a story, but more just a place where the writer can just write off as many short plots that just pop into his head and show them to people, and maybe someday it'll get expanded into an actual story, or maybe another writer will pick it up, but it's just out there, and these are basically half-formed ideas or single scenes that might have an interesting bit. Most of these are Harry Potter, but there are some that are just other things that are not connected. A lot of crossovers, a lot of gay pairings. I think almost all of them are gay. It's okay, but a lot of these are really, really short, mainly being just one scene or like a hint of an idea, and that's fine for both the author and as a tool for writers, but it doesn't have the same interest for just somebody who's a reader, which, like in this case, I am. I'm not looking for ideas to write. I'm not looking to see what I just want to see if something interesting is there. And there's if there's other people who have made these kind of things that are perfectly work fine both for themselves as writers and readers as well, because it's interesting. Odd Ideas by Rorschach's Blot is, like I said, I've reread many times, but this one it's just not meant for readers. It's only meant for people who want to get a jumping off point or a starting point for things. So for me, it's not interesting, so this falls off my list. Alright, next is Again by Kimcat, which is a Naruto time travel fic, which is okay. It's basically sorry. It's basically a fic where, at the end of the war, Orochimaru pulls out a jutsu to banish Naruto, and instead he ends up traveling back in time. And yeah, it's Naruto doesn't take himself too seriously. He just adapts. He's like, okay, I'm back in time. Let's do this shit. Let me pop out. I'm good friends with Kyuubi. We're all good. Let's hang that shit out. And he's just like, all right, so let me get together with Hinata faster, or let me save Haku and do this and that. And it's like a lot of little moments that do stuff. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's just okay. It was never finished. I can't remember exactly where it ends right now, but it's okay. Fine for a laugh, but not funny enough to stay on my list. Alright. After that, we have The Heaven's Curse by Boots86. Another Naruto time travel fic, but a bit more serious than the last one. There's a few nitpicks I'll get out of the way right now. That one, Naruto's entrance back to the past is super dramatic. He's in the middle of a conversation, for God's sakes, and just hunches over. It's like, I'm in pain, and then explodes a chakra wave throughout the whole city. But honestly, aside from one conversation with the Hokage, and he was just like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. It's like, and just moves on. nobody really cares. It starts basically in the Chunin exam. A whole bunch of extra people show up, including a new hidden village in the spirits. Not really given much of an introduction. They just show up and are there. It's actually a crossover that they don't really tell you. And honestly, I remember I did not know it was a cross. I didn't even recognize the people until it was blatantly spelled out for me when I first read it. Now I remember, and it was okay, whatever. But they are also only there for a bit. This didn't get very far. It also just stopped eventually. A lot of stuff happens. Very little gets explained for why it's happening, who these people are. There's two Itachis, I think, or there's an Itachi that also time traveled, or something's going on with that. Gaara halfway through becomes a time traveler, but I don't know why. And there's a bunch of other stuff, and what's weird is there's stories that have similar kind of things where halfway through another time traveler shows up, or even specifically Gaara. I know there's another story where Naruto and all them travel, and then in the middle of the story, Gaara just becomes ends up becoming a time traveler as well. And I remember liking those a lot. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but they handled it better. And also, I think it's because especially the one I'm thinking of right now, it's not serious, it's humorous, and it's handled much better in that way because there's no mystery or anything. Also, the fact that I'm pretty sure that one finished is always a point in its favor. But like I said, this one, there's a lot of stuff happening. Very little explanation. Not a lot of it is interesting. There's a whole dramatic backstory with Naruto, which never gets explained, again, because it never finished. And it has a whole, it's trying to be a dark undertone or something super serious, but it just doesn't get across, or it doesn't feel right. I really started scrolling through this to get it done really fast because I was not interested. There's nothing. It's perfectly serviceable as a fic. There's no huge errors. It's fine to read. It's just a little boring, and things don't connect the way there's no explanations for a lot of things, and things don't work. So it's just gonna fall off my list. All right. And now is What It Takes by Iced Blood. Another Naruto time travel fic. This one's a bit. So it's not just Naruto. Basically, Jiraiya finds a jutsu from a scroll from a random merchant woman and says hey, this can go back in time, and he, Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke decide to do it, and they end up 16 years in the past, which is 3 years before Naruto was born, and they end up meeting the fourth Hokage's team and Kakashi's old team, and basically just training a lot. A lot of this fic can basically be just summed up with they meet each other and then they train and they hang out for a while. It's not very consequential for the most part. Not a lot of stuff happens until we get to the ending, the epilogue, which, that becomes a very big jump. Things start changing, and the epilogue, I feel, is really good. It's much more serious than the rest of the story is. Like I said, they're very cavalier with saying hey, we're back in the past. It's when the guy just comes something's weird. It's yeah, we traveled back in time. What? They really don't give a shit for the most part, and it's just kind of just whatever. Until we get to the last couple chapters, which is the epilogue, which shows what happened afterwards. It comes back to the start of canon. And it's interesting to see the changes that occurred, how they end up wrapping it up, and it's just that is way better. Those last 2 or 3 chapters are way better than the rest. And if the rest of the story was at that same level, I would totally keep this on my list. As it stands, I'll recommend it because I still think those 3 chapters make it worth it, but it's not. The rest of it's just not good enough to stay. So, like I said, recommended. It's an interesting thing to check out, and those last 3 chapters I think are really good, but it's not going to stay on my list. Alright. And now we go to The Heir of the Throne by Mad Hat 886. Okay, so I know this author, maybe not his reputation in the fanfiction, but I know this author because I'm pretty sure I have a few other stories. I know I have them in my C2. I don't know if they have them in the favorites list, but a lot of them are basically just Naruto becomes super powerful in some weird way and harem happens, and yeah, that's basically what happens here. Like, okay, there's 129,000 words in this. The story did not finish. I'm gonna sum it up in like one sentence. All right, here we go. The queen of the land of metal kidnaps Naruto after his graduation exam because he's actually her grandson. And now everyone in the ninja world wants to marry him because he has a super powerful bloodline and he's the only male of that bloodline because that bloodline only gives girls normally. So he's super special. That's it. The basic setup lasts. It takes 20 chapters basically to get to the setup for this thing, which after those 20 chapters it turns out, oh, it's going to be The Bachelor, except everybody is also in a high school learning shit and doing challenges and that are in school to try and get to Naruto. And the Leaf Village is shitting themselves because they still treated him badly and, you know, all that stuff, which also gets kind of funny because they treated him badly and all that, but right from the beginning, all of the ninjas seem to know that he's the fourth Hokage's son and all that, so like it's even stupider why he was treated so badly and all that stuff, because it makes no fucking sense, even in the, you know, other fics. It's really slow for like one reason, which is this has a shit ton of characters, and every single one gets like a paragraph introducing them and describing them and everything, which it's fine because almost all these characters are crossovers. Like they're crossovers fucking everything. We got Dynasty Warriors, Dead or Alive, Hey Arnold, Kim Possible, Final Fantasy, pick your number. I saw, or at least I remember seeing 7, 8. I'm sure there were others. And there's a whole bunch of other, you know, crossovers that are all there. Avatar shows up for a bit, and they all get introductions and descriptions so that even if you don't know them just by the name, you'll be able to get an idea of what they are, who they look like, or maybe you'll recognize them from the description. And that is like half the story because there's just so many of them. And everyone, even if they're only there for one scene, they get that introduction and they get all this. And because it's never finished, a lot of this is just for one scene. And then the other half is all this political, you know, espionage and skullduggery, and you see the motivations of these characters because, hey, if everybody can have babies with this guy, they'll become super powerful and they'll rise to the top. And, you know, so everybody wants to fuck somebody or get the other ones fucked over. And all these, you know, motivations get explored for one scene, and then usually very few of them are brought back up because, like I said, it was never finished. And the latter parts is like a lot of super short chapters where like one thing will happen in them, and it's just not super interesting. Naruto himself is not interesting at all. Like in the beginning it's fine, he's a kid, and it's like the kid in the show where he's just, oh, I'm sad I didn't become a ninja, and hey, somebody's nice to me, so yeah, I'll go with them. And then literally like one chapter later we see him and he's just like, death to Konoha, I hate everything, like who cares, like, oh, all these women are all over me, fuck them, I don't care, I just want to learn jutsu so I can kill everything. And everything's just like, oh, that's boring characterization. I don't care. If you can have a guy who wants to kill everything, but he has to be interesting in some way. This Naruto is not, and also it's super fucking fast that it just happened. And another thing, like they banished the QB out of the shield out of the seal into the spirit world, but he could also just call him back to be his summon at any time. That's just the thing that happens, where he also gets like fox ears and shit. And what else? They show brief moments of training where he's just super genius. He sees a jutsu like 3 times, and then boom, he can do it. And it's like, whatever. And, you know, it's just weird how... And there's also... What's odd is there's a lot of digressions that seem to just go away from Naruto just for show off more crossovers. Like there's a bunch of weird scenes like in the middle where it's like all this serious, like, you know, marriage shit and stuff, and like constantly showing like them constantly harassing the Leaf Village and breaking them, or like just to fuck with them. And in the middle of it you just have like some Azumanga Daioh slapstick with the actual characters from Azumanga Daioh like going on, and it's like, okay, why are they there? Because they're just there in the school. They don't even care about Naruto. They're just there, and then we're just focusing on them for no reason, and it's just dumb. Like, so this is falling off my list completely. Like, the only thing I can really recommend this for is if you want to learn how to, if you have problems like introducing a character or like writing a quick like good description of the character, if you need to learn to that, then the first 20 chapters of this are fucking amazing, because you will see that like 1,700 times. So if you need to learn how to do that, then go ahead and look at this thing. But otherwise, give this a hard pass. All right. Okay, so the next two are basically like, I'll go by them one by one. The first one is Back in Black by Rorschach's Blot, and the next one is The Hunt for Harry Potter by Rorschach's Blot. Both of which are part of the Make-A-Wish series, the Mr. Black continuity or whatever you want to call it. Back in Black is a omake file, just extra scenes, random funny bits, whereas Hunt for Harry Potter is the actual sequel to Make-A-Wish. So I'll just say Back in Black, it's just a bunch of funny scenes that I liked. I like it again. I like Mr. Black, and I like this whole thing. Maybe not everybody does. Some people find it annoying, but I just enjoy it. So Back in Black and all this stuff, they're funny. They're staying on my list. Now, the actual sequel, so it's a lot. It's again the same stuff where Harry's going around and ridiculous shit is happening, but quite a few of them are intentional. This time he's actually because at the end of Make-A-Wish he realizes that he does have power and knowledge of things. So a lot of the things that happen here is intentional, where he goes to kill some people or do this or specifically do something. But then also there's still a lot of this random shit where he just says a random line where the mayo went bad, I gotta throw this out, and then that gets spun off into its whole thing that's just completely not connected to Harry ever again. But that one line makes a huge fucking difference to a whole bunch of people, and that kind of comes around at the finale where we see where it's there's a bit of dramatic tension here, and then finally at the end Harry learns oh no, this is the kind of running joke I am. Okay, I'm gonna deal with it that way then. And he learns to find his place in the world, and that's nice. And the side bits, because there's a lot more of that now, where we'll just see things occurring that are related to Mr. Black but not Harry, and also side characters Hermione, Luna, and Tonks, who are all looking for Harry Potter and things like that. And like I said, the story with the mayonnaise and shit like that, those are all fun, and this is still really entertaining, and I super enjoy it. I love Mr. Black, all his stories, and yeah, it's staying on my list. Alright, two more to go. Now we got What Witches Really Want by Almost Anonymous. It's 1,000-word story with humor in the genre. It's a joke, single joke. It's a fine joke, it's okay. I chuckled a bit, but it didn't make me super burst out into laughing. So it's not funny. It's not funny enough to stay on my list. For these super small ones, I'll admit a lot, but I have to get a good full belly laugh or something out of it and to stay on list. This is fine. I like it, and it's a fun thing, which is good to know. But it's not funny enough, so sadly it's gonna slide off my list. All right, and the last one for the hero is Running Blind by Deja Thoris of Mars, and this is something I don't think we've come across yet on my list. Which is a Danny Phantom. Well, first of all, it's a Danny Phantom story. I don't think we've come across any Danny Phantom stories on my list, so that's what I meant. But it's also a Danny Phantom CSI crossover, where Danny, runs away to escape from Vlad. Vlad's psychological needling. That was the fucking word. Okay, but he goes away, ends up in Las Vegas, and becomes the key witness to a murder, and so the CSIs are trying to help him, trying to figure out the murder, while at the same time they find Danny, and they're okay, Vlad, and he explains Vlad's coming after him. He's all right, we'll keep it under wraps and we'll help you out. And I just like this story a lot. I like Danny Phantom, and this shows Danny as like on top of his shit, and kind of it gives a good portrayal of Danny. And the ending where a whole bunch of the Amity Bark cast shows up, they get good characterization. Like, I just really like this story. And I mean, I don't know much about CSI, so I don't know how well they're done, but they felt real. Like, it was interesting to see. You could see a bit of the quirks that come out, and like you get little anecdotes that explain how they are, and we get to see at least one interesting character that's not part of the main cast, but it's a fun bit of extra characterization for the main guy, and it's just a good story that I really enjoyed, and I'll definitely come back and look at it again, so it stays on my list. And there we have it. 9 more stories down. About half and half this time, I think. Or actually, whatever. But again, I'm trying. I'm really hoping I'll be able to get this done more and more. And I'm not going to stop. This is going to finish. It's going to take years, but I'm going to finish this. So I hope you guys join me on this journey. If you like this, or if you like it, any of the things, I leave links in the description for, I don't know if I leave links, but I leave URLs at least for all the stories that I talk about. And if you like it, subscribe if you want to keep up with my journey. If this is your first one for some reason, I have a playlist that has all of these, so go back and go look through them and see all my recommendations. And I will catch you guys next time.